Ari, our video yesterday was so nice that we had to do it twice. If you guys did not see, me and Ari made a draft video yesterday, and it has completely blown up. Almost 1,100 views now. It was a very cool video. Ari, welcome back to the show, man. If you guys don't know Ari, he goes on Twitter by the name of I Am Young Ari. He hosts the #1 Texans podcast, Texans Unfiltered. I will have the link on my video today. I'll drop it down. I should have dropped it yesterday. My fault about that, but it will be there. Ari, welcome back to the channel, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Like, what a day yesterday to kind of talk about everything that we needed to happen, and then who we were looking at, and really it's even better than what we described yesterday with Esperanza there, and there's so much talent available.
This is, you said it, this is the best outcome that could have happened in the draft, and us Houston Texans fans we should be ecstatic. We should be ecstatic because names we thought that weren't gonna be there. Like we talked about Zach Bond. Maybe he's gonna be there. Now he's there. Esperanza's there. Dope is there. All top three running backs are there. This is gonna be a crazy, draft tonight. But here's what I wanted to talk to you about. I've had this feeling ever since last night that I think the Houston Texans need to go all in now. We don't have no capital next year. We don't have a first. We don't have a second. We could potentially move up and get another pick in the second round and grab two players who should have been in the first.
Yeah, I think ideally, I share that same sentiment. I put it out this morning even. Like, I think that with where the board is falling, it makes the most sense for them to grab two potential day one guys that are going to be able to produce for this team on the side of the ball that really needs the most attention, right? When you look at the board and who's available right now, they could grab Delpit and Blacklock, or Delpit and Gallimore, or Delpit and Esperanza, or Bond, or Marlon Davidson. It's really the sky is the limit. So while I know a lot of people wanted to trade back now I'm like, let's stay at 40, and then let's package the third and the fifth and move back into the second and grab a second guy to ensure that this defense is going to take the next step.
That to me is the best thing. The one tandem that does excite me is Blacklock and Delpit. Yep. Delpit, one of the best safeties in this draft class, single high safety, and then I love Blacklock. I've been like him for a while now. You beef up the defensive line, and then you solidify your safety group for the next 10 years with Delpit.
Yep.
So we already talked about them, but is there any more players who you think that we should be looking at, because we have a lot?
Yeah, I think Esperanza is interesting. A guy that you could put opposite of JJ that could potentially, make a difference. Still needs to develop. He's a little raw, but definitely has a very high ceiling. Xavier McKinney is a safety that I think people are just not talking about. And while he isn't necessarily a single high safety, the Texans like to do a lot of different things with the way that they play safeties. They don't play your traditional free safety, strong safety. So that's an interesting name. Marlon Davidson's another one. If they did want to go wide receiver, they could potentially do that too with Denzel Mims.
Still there.
So there's a lot of options. I think Fulton's still there at cornerback. Like, they really are in a great position to grab players that can come in, produce day one. And I just hope that while we've all kind of hoped that, he would, Bill O'Brien would kind of tame his aggressiveness, I hope he ramps that up a little bit now. I'd rather grab two guys that are going to start and, keep the seventh and the 1/4 and just keep it moving, or whatever it would take to get there. I feel really good about where we're at. I think this is just the best situation. Also, Lloyd Cushenberry is also still there. So, for your YouTube comment that said we got to protect Deshaun Watson, well, we can cut Zach Fulton and grab Cushenberry. But if we do, I just think it's a wasted pick, just given where the team is and what the needs are.
I'm all for defense, man. I'm
Me
all for
too.
defense. The running backs are falling, so who knows? Maybe you could get a Zach Moss later or a Cam Makers later. But this it's just I'm in awe how this turned out. In the first round we saw offensive tackles just go and go and go and go. And I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you think BMAC could be put in a package to maybe move up to the second round? I know the Houston Texans have been talking about trading him for a while now. Do you see any situation where that is happening?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of those packages, one of those guys that you could probably include in a package to get back into the second round. While BMAC isn't necessarily the type of running back that the type of linebacker that everybody's looking for, at the end of the day, he's still a very, very good player. He's on a pretty team-friendly deal, $8 to $9 million per year. So he's not, making, what's the linebacker in Seattle? He's the best linebacker in the league. Anyways, Bobby Wagner. There we go. He's not making Wagner money. He wasn't making Kuechly money. So, I think you add him. I think another interesting piece is potentially Kiki QT. Could easily be added to that. We all talk mess about Zach Fulton, but what's the market for an average interior guard? And if they're able to grab somebody that could potentially fill that role. So I think there's some pieces. But at the end of the day, they could do what they need to do to add to this defense. And that's the biggest part that we need to really take into consideration. I mean, this draft, we saw 4 quarterbacks go, we saw 6 wide receivers go, and we saw 5 offensive tackles go. I mean, dude, that's 16 picks? All because of that, the Texans are in just a much better position. So,
I mean, I'm just salivating at the mouth. This is the draft. Bill Bryan has taken a lot of criticism, since the DeAndre Hopkins trade, and yes, he deserves it. But this is how you shut him up. With this second round draft, potential all-star players are there. Bill Bryan, you have to go get them. Go all in, and I'd rather have this defense built. One guy who may fall, who I really like, is Terrell Lewis. A lot of people are not talking about him right now. He falls down there, man. You could go up and get him as well.
Yeah, it's really unlimited amount of opportunities and possibilities that can happen. You want to fix the defensive line, and you want to go Esperanza and Blacklock and ignore safety? Can't be mad at that. You're talking about a completely revamped defensive line. Then you sign Eric Reed after May 5th when the comp picks go away, pair him with his brother. It's really amazing when you think about who's available and what we can do. We have to hope that you're right. Like Bill O'Brien shuts up the critics, right? All the criticism to this point has been somewhat fair regarding really just one move, right? That's it. Everybody, if you remember, and I know you do, last season when Bill O'Brien was wheeling and dealing, everybody was talking about this guy should have been our GM. We love the moves he's making.
GM of the year.
Right, exactly. He adds Conley, he adds Duke, he adds Tunsil, he adds Stills. Everybody's like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for. And then one trade all of a sudden just throws that out the window. Give it some time. Let's see what else he can do while he's drafting. And I think he's in a good position to be able to tell people, chill out, bro.
I'm just in awe. So many studs there. Another guy who a lot of people are not talking about as well is Gross Matos. The Penn State dude is an absolute freak of nature. He's built like Chase Young. If you look at their size, the speeds, built like Chase Young.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that you could potentially target later on in the second round, right? When you look at, what he did at Penn State, very productive player, solid build, doesn't really, he looks like he can get held off on blocks a little bit, but, especially up against top tier talent at tackle, but a ton of upside and could easily fill a role that this team has.
So, your personal preference, right? Would you rather have us, go to safety Delpit first and then fix the defensive line?
No, I love Delpit. I do. And the way that this all worked out, I was thinking, okay, Delpit would be it. But after looking at it, I think adding Esperanza and adding a defensive tackle would make me feel a lot better. While getting Del Pitt would help and make an impact, I still think that the defensive line and pass rush is such a need that if you could add two key pieces to that line, I think that this team is instantly better on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we saw it in Kansas City, the lack of pass rush, being able to push the pocket back into Patrick Mahomes, forcing him out, and then our edge guys not being able to get there. If you had a guy who could push the pocket, force him out, and then you had Jacob Martin and Whitney on the outside who were getting to Patrick Mahomes, they just weren't, because there was no push on the inside, they weren't able to get to him quick enough. So, I would prefer to go Esperanza and Blacklock or Esperanza and Neville Gallimore. Either one I'm fine with. And I think that those two picks would make me feel extremely good about this defense.
So, and here's a question to put you on the spot, man. So Anthony Weaver is going to have some say, who he wants as to pick for the defensive side of the ball. Who do you think he loves? Like you said, he comes from that Rex Ryan system. Which player just speaks out to you like this might be an Anthony Weaver type player?
Probably Esperanza.
Yep.
Very aggressive, high motor. You could use him in different ways. I think that would probably be the most appealing. And then second, if I had to guess, I'd probably say Zach Bond, just because of the flexibility that he'll give Anthony Weaver. You can drop him into coverage. You can rush him. You can kind of line him up everywhere. Not to the level that we did with Clowney, but almost. Like, you can line him up at middle linebacker and he can rush the passer. You can line him up at the 3 technique. Now, I don't know how effective he'll be at that spot in the NFL, but he definitely has a lot of different areas that he could be used at. And I would say those two players are probably the most ideal for what Anthony Weaver would want to look at.
Absolutely. And just a final question, it might not, it's definitely not going to happen, but is there a possibility that J.J. Watt's moved?
No.
Just had to throw that one.
No, the only way I saw it happening was last night. There were rumors that we had a deal in place with Green Bay at 30. And I think that if there was ever a team that JJ was going to be traded to, it would have to be his hometown team. But this team, there's a lot of talk about wanting to trade JJ Watt. And I understand it. I'm actually a proponent of it. But I don't think it can be this year because you're eliminating too much of the pass rush that you have. I mean, really 75% of the pass rush you have with JJ. I'd like to trade him next offseason. And not give him an additional contract. But then again, this year he can come in, light the league on fire, get back to defensive player of the year, ends up having 20 sacks. Who knows? Who knows what JJ is able to do this year? But I understand the reasons for why everybody wants to trade JJ. You have to take the emotions out when it comes to trading players. And while JJ has done a ton for the city, you have to look at the future of this team, and paying another guy, or paying him on a second contract another, $100 million, 32, tons of injury history. You just don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, like you said, guys, the draft is tonight. I think it starts at 6, probably, yeah. I think around there. But one thing is for sure is we're all going to be watching, and one thing's for sure is probably tomorrow, early in the morning, me and Ari are going to be back at it again, talking about a potentially amazing second round that Bill O'Brien had. Ari, once again, thank you for coming on the channel, man. We are gonna blow up again.
Well, that's what we do.
That's what we do. That's all we do is blow up. That's all we do. As always, guys, go Texans. Let's put all our faith in O'Brien, giving them all the good vibes. You guys go have a blessed day.